Hey guys, we want to talk to you a little bit about the Podcoin app.
Yes! The Podcoin app. It pays you to listen to Ruining Our Childhood, as well as your other favorite podcasts. You can use the Podcoin you earn to claim gift cards for some of your favorite stores.
What? Starbucks?
Check.
Amazon?
Correct.
Target. Seriously guys, this is pretty legit. Join the Podcoin app today on iPhone or Android, and I said join, but I meant download.
You've got to download
and
it.
use code RUINING to get 300 Podcoin just for signing up.
That's 300 Podcoin for using RUINING.
That's how you spell ruining, just in case you don't know that.
Yes.
So if you're basically listening to podcasts all day anyways while you're working or driving or doing anything, might as well make some money off the deal. Am I right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, free coffee for something you're already doing sounds fantastic.
It does sound fantastic.
Take a shot.
So go give the Podcoin app a try today. And also don't forget to listen to Ruining Our Childhood and make some money, guys.
Okay.
Bye. A retired master car thief must come back to the industry and steal 50 cars with his crew in one night to save his brother's life. That really does seem outlandish.
This is Ryan.
This is Ashley.
And this is Ruining Our Childhood, a weekly podcast where we remove our childhood goggles and put on our adult bifocals to rewatch and review our favorite movies from the past.
That is correct. And if you are just joining us, hi, my name's Ashley, and
this is Ryan, which we already went through.
We did.
Yes.
We are a couple that have been married for
almost 9 years.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yes.
And we decided to start a podcast a couple months ago to rewatch our large DVD collection that we have.
Yes.
And sometimes we watch movies that we don't have that for some reason one of us thinks we have, and then we find out we don't.
Yeah. And then we end up like borrowing it from a friend or a brother.
Or renting it online because Netflix doesn't have it.
Yeah.
It's super annoying. Anyway.
This is our 13th episode. We are officially a teenager.
What?
Just a podcast moving through puberty.
Gross.
Yep. Got our first pimple yesterday.
This episode, that was a good joke, Ryan.
You're welcome.
This Saturday?
This episode
that
we're recording on Saturday
is our second voted
listener poll. Let's call it a listener poll.
I'm drunk, I swear. Yeah, it's a listener poll. Last week we did
Old School.
Old School. That was the winner.
Mm-hmm.
This week you could choose between Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yes.
And
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
And Gone in 60 Seconds won, if you couldn't tell by the summary that I read. That's not the
Spicoli talking about when he stole cars.
Yeah, he had a crew.
Yeah, he did.
They just ate pizza a lot.
And learned about Cuba.
Shall we move on to some facts about the year that this movie came out that I can't remember?
Yes.
You said 2000, right?
This movie was released almost 19 years ago.
Damn.
June 9th. Almost exactly 19 because it's slightly more now. So June 9th, 2000. It had a budget of $90 million. And it grossed $237.2 million. This was a remake of the 1974 film Gone in 60 Seconds.
I honestly did not know it was a remake.
I knew it was a remake, however, never saw the original.
Who was in the original?
That's an excellent question, and I will look it up in a little bit because I'm going to go through these facts. Popular TV shows from 2000 include Survivor, ER, and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Nice.
Popular songs take a shot. Santana featuring Rob Thomas, Smooth, Destiny's Child, Say My Name, and Vertical Horizon, Everything You Want.
Nice.
That is a one-hit wonder.
I feel like Vertical Horizon. No, who am I thinking of? It wasn't Vertical Horizon. Is there another band that had
like 2 hits? Maybe?
There
was Fuel. Hemorrhage.
That's not who I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
The guy with the white hair.
The guy from Vertical Horizon, I think, was bald.
Okay, then I'm not thinking of the same band.
Yeah.
What band am I thinking of?
He had white hair?
Remember any?
Oh, Everclear.
That's who it is.
Yeah, and they had like at least 3 hits. I
Okay,
would
yeah.
say.
That's why I was just like, excuse me.
Yeah, no. I loved Everclear. Okay.
Anyway.
And the liquor.
You didn't. He said was.
Yeah, no, I don't. Popular movies. Number 1 popular movie from 2000 was How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Castaway, and Mission Impossible 2.
I honestly do not remember Mission Impossible 2. But Castaway is a good movie.
I remember seeing Mission Impossible 2 because it was like it had a huge build-up, had a big soundtrack, like that had... Metallica did the music video for, and then I remember seeing the movie going like it wasn't a very good movie,
which is funny because I feel like they've increasingly gotten better.
Yeah, the last 3 have been really good, but
Yeah.
Mission Impossible 2 not such a good movie in my opinion.
Hot take, Ryan.
Hot take. Yeah, love my Thomas Jackson Cruise.
So like we said, we're doing God in 60 Seconds. This movie came out in 2000, which would have made me about 14 years old. I honestly don't remember too much about this movie. I remember my brother wanted to watch it, and I watched it with him, but I was not really interested in cars, action movies, Nicolas Cage, Angelina Jolie.
No.
I still watched it, but I honestly don't remember anything about it other than apparently Angelina Jolie was really hot.
Yes. I've never really found her to be attractive.
People do. I mean, I see that she's beautiful, but...
Yeah.
When I was a 14-year-old girl, I was just like, cool.
And I was not a big Nick Cage fan. Like, he made a couple good action movies when I was around that time period. Like, I thought Face Off was good, and Con Air and The Rock, like, all in 97. He was making some good action movies. I did not see it in theaters. I remember a group of my friends went and saw it, and then they told me how it was an awful movie.
Gone in 60 Seconds?
Yeah. Then, like, the one with Nick Cage and Angelina Jolie, so I was like, okay, well, they're like, yeah, it was really stupid. So I'm like, okay. I rented it when it came out on VHS, I think. And I was like, I liked it. I was like, what the heck didn't you like about this movie? It was action-packed. It had cool chase scenes. I thought my boy Nicky Cage, he wasn't the namesake of an award back then.
That's true.
Now he is.
Now he is. But, I mean, I guess we'll see. Will Nicolas Cage win the coveted...
Thomas J. Hanks.
That would be... That's like mind blown. Like the universe is gonna implode if that's the case.
God.
I'm not gonna try to be biased or anything like that, but I don't see that happening.
It could happen. Anything could happen. I did look up the original Gone in 60 Seconds just now. It was written, directed, produced, and starred H.B. Toby Halecki was the name of the actor.
Can I see a picture?
Let's see. H.B.
For all you
Toby.
viewers out here, I'm just waiting on a picture.
That's the guy. He's got a nice perm going.
I don't... What else has he been in? I'm trying to also not look at this movie too much. I mean, the actual movie we're going to watch today with Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie, because honestly, that's the only 2 people I remember from the movie. Mm-hmm. I don't remember anybody else, so I'm expecting to be wonderfully surprised with hopefully some amazing, well, hello there's. I don't want to ruin it because I've done that before, but now I'm going to look up the movie and see where you can watch it, our beautiful audience, unless you're, obsessed with it and have like a Nicolas Cage poster on your wall, which,
It could happen.
You do you.
I did just look up H.B. Halecki, and he actually died filming the sequel of Gone in 60 Seconds 2 in 1989. He was killed in a car accident while filming one of the stunts.
Well, that's tragic.
And yeah, so very sad. That movie, fun fact, the original was made for $150,000 and grossed $40 million.
Fuck.
Yeah, so
no
good,
wonder they
good on
wanted
him.
to do a remake.
Yeah.
So before we pause this and go watch the movie, I can tell you where you can find it. It looks like it is on YouTube for rent, Google Play, Amazon Prime, Vudu, and iTunes. It also looks like if you have a Showtime subscription, you can watch it on their app. So, you do you.
Yeah.
Or if you're like us, you probably have it on DVD somewhere.
In your Nick Cage collection.
Yeah. Do you remember those
we
DVDs
all
they used to have
Would it be like a 4-pack of the
Yeah,
guy's movies?
and it was always like one good movie, and then 3 were like shitty
Oh, yeah.
movies you'd never heard of,
3
like the
movies were
Brad
like-
Pitt collection.
Yeah, you're like, oh, he was in this. Oh, he made some movies in the 80s that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah.
So we just threw it in here.
It's like they could only get rights to one good movie.
Yeah. It's the same thing like at Walmart, they'll still sell like it's the comedy collection from 1999, and it's like, oh, it's got Austin Powers, and it has Zoolander or something. Obviously, they didn't come out in the same year. But then it's just like some movie that was like direct to DVD that starred Jerry O'Connell.
That has a really bad photoshopped
Yeah.
DVD cover, which has always been a pet peeve of mine, where you can clearly see that they used a picture of somebody from like a red carpet, so the lighting is completely
It doesn't
different.
match up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It bothers me more when it's a movie that I would assume has some sort of budget.
And then you find out they just, asked Derek and IT to Photoshop this, and he took
I
about
could
2
Photoshop
seconds
better,
on his
and I
lunch.
barely know how to use Photoshop.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I digress.
I digress. So we're gonna go ahead and hit the pause.
Correct.
And you know what I didn't do?
What?
I didn't say 2000 classic,
Classic.
because I also could not remember the year this movie came out. So
It is a classic. It stars one of the great actors of our time, who is a national treasure, starred in a movie called National Treasure.
you fucked up your joke.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
Sad.
I got it though. I'll still laugh on the inside.
He was a national treasure.
Anyway,
We love you, Nick. Oh, actually, real quick, why don't we say whether or not we think the movie is going to hold up?
oh, is that what we do in this podcast?
I think that is what we do.
We are just really on top of it. A little better than last week, but still.
Not much.
What do you think?
I think it will hold up.
Okay.
I don't know the last time I saw it. I would say probably it's been a good 10 years. Ironically, the last time I remember seeing it was I was getting a root canal.
Jesus.
Because my dentist has these like sunglasses that you could wear, and you
Yeah.
could just watch a movie. And I remember like picking it then, so I was in pain last time I watched it, and I don't remember the movie being that painful. Take a shot. So I'm gonna say it's gonna hold up. I think it's gonna be delightful.
Like I said earlier, it's been a while since I've seen the movie. I don't really remember much of it other than Nicolas Cage is in it and Angelina Jolie, and I know they steal cars, obviously.
That is the premise.
But I don't think it will hold up just for the sake that it was made in 2000,
Yeah,
and I just think there's going to be a lot of stuff that dates it.
yeah, I could see it, but
Yeah.
I'm hopeful.
So I don't really have a lot of reasons for it. I just don't think it's going to hold up. But we'll go ahead and hit that pause now
Pause.
and go watch the movie, and we'll come back and talk about Gone in 60 Seconds.
We are back. We just watched the fantastic Gone in 60 Seconds. Some might even say glorious Gone in 60 Seconds.
Sure.
And we're going to go ahead and break down our movie like we always do. And we're going to go ahead and start searching the insurance database that looks like it was from War Games with Matthew Broderick and talk about some technology.
That's beautiful.
Yes, you're welcome. What technology did you notice in the film?
The only thing I noticed, and maybe there was stuff in the beginning that I wasn't paying attention because I was writing out some early notes, was at one point they're staking out all the cars they're going to steal, and they are taking pictures, and they use this like really tiny Canon power shot, I'm pretty sure. And I'm just like, digital cameras aren't really a thing. I know people probably still use them.
Yeah.
But most people just use their phone now. So it's almost weird to see stuff like that because I think your brain just goes, why don't they just use their phone?
Yeah.
And there's another point where they're like lost. It's Giovanni Ribisi and some of his crew. And they are driving. They're like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm lost in this neighborhood. I'm like, just Google Maps it. I was like, oh, wait, it's 2000. They don't have Google Maps on a device just readily available.
It was kind of like during the end chase scene where Nick Cage is driving all around Los Angeles and he's zigzagging through buildings. And I'm like, how is he doing this without a GPS? I can't get to work without a GPS.
There is a point I think before we were so reliant on technology that we actually knew what we were doing and where we were going. And if you didn't, and it was around mid-90s to 2000s, you went on your computer, you went to MapQuest, and you typed in the address. And I thought that was fancy as fuck, and now we just...
I mean, shit, back in the day, you got out a map.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was the DVD commercials. I figured we could put it in this category since I didn't really have much else.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do have a couple things before we break down those glorious pieces of national treasure.
Sure.
I noticed one of the characters using like a Nokia like candy bar style phone that everyone I knew had in like 99. So I caught that, and then the technology that they were using for like a garage code scanner to catch the codes so they could go back and like open the garage door.
Mm-hmm.
All of the technology they were using looked like it was from 1985. Like none of it looked like remotely modern to that time. It was all real crappy. And then the last piece of technology that I saw was a club.
A club?
A club. They go to steal a car, and the car has the club across the steering wheel.
I get it. I was like, what about a club?
That could be a dated reference, but I'm going to throw it out there with technology. Fun fact, my boss still has a club on his car. Fact.
That's amazing.
But
obviously, you just take off the steering wheel.
I do think one of our coworkers had their car stolen from the garage where we were.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's why the preemptive measure, but I do think it's pretty funny when I get in the car and there is the club.
Well, if the thief has seen this movie, which I'm thinking if you're a car thief, this is your
jam.
This is your jam. This is your anthem.
Mm-hmm.
They probably know that you can just take the steering wheel off. Fun fact.
I think that wouldn't work because a lot of cars have airbags in the steering wheel. So can you imagine? They're like, oh, I really wanted to steal this car. I took this off, and an airbag explodes in your face, and now you have airbag burn.
That's true. That's true. This was 2000. Some cars didn't have airbags.
Touche.
Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, so let's get into the DVD commercials, which we don't ever really talk about.
No.
We've seen quite a few very interesting commercials since starting this podcast because a lot of our movies are DVDs that we owned that were made
2000, 2001.
Yeah, a lot of the DVDs we have are pretty old and just usually the DVD opening sequences are always like really cheesy and amazing. Well, this movie had DVD commercials for Shanghai Noon. Correct. And there was another one, Mission to Mars.
Mission to Mars, starring Jerry O'Connell and...
Which apparently was a movie. Who knew?
Gary Sinise.
But they weren't so much selling the movie as they were selling the DVD extras.
They were like...
It was
the Shanghai Noon, they were like, see this special feature, and this special feature, and this special feature. And the way the names were popping up on the screen, one after another, it was like a Time Life mix compilation where like you can get this Rick Astley song from 1985,
like a late night commercial, and they're trying to sell it. It was amazing, just the font, and it was beautiful, guys. And one of the selling points was you can watch the Uncle Kracker music video. Yes, Uncle Kracker. If you don't know who that is, Google it. Watch some YouTube videos of his music. I mean, if that didn't get in the mood for a 2000 movie, I don't know what would. But that was amazing. So we just had to talk about that.
I mean, if you own this DVD, can I just recommend, don't even watch the movie.
No.
Don't do it.
Just watch the commercial.
Watch the commercial. It'll be the best 5 minutes you spend this week in front of a television. I guarantee it. You will write us a strongly worded email just to thank us.
Yes.
Thank us.
I thank you for not wasting my time. It was well spent. Yeah. Well spent. Did you have anything else in this category?
That is everything I had.
Okay, let's move on to Kids Would Call It a Throwback. We call it the prime of our teens, where we talk about fashion choices, any dated references or offensive jokes, and we discuss if they can get away with any of those things in 2019. Did you have anything as far as fashion choices?
There was a character in the movie. His name is Detective Roland Castlebeck. He was like two detectives. He's played by Delroy Lindo, and then the second detective we'll talk about in a minute. But this detective at one point was wearing a shirt that I can only describe as a combination Ed Hardy Hawaiian shirt.
Oh, when they were like in the...
They're just like walking around the office, like the police headquarters, and it's like this yellow Hawaiian shirt with a panther on it.
That's
and I was just like, he was ahead of the time, because Ed Hardy shirts didn't become popular till like 2007. So
that's true.
Like, yeah.
Maybe because of him.
But
maybe because of this movie.
And then the other thing that I'm thinking this movie was single-handedly keeping the leather jacket business and going, because everybody had a leather jacket on.
Yeah, there was one point, and I'll talk about it later, but yeah, everybody had... It was like, this movie was just shot mostly in the dark, it seemed like, and everybody was wearing dark colored clothing, other than the shirt that you were talking about that the detective wore. One of the things I noted was Angelina Jolie in the first scene she's in, which, by the way, she's the second listed person in this movie. She doesn't appear for like 30 minutes in the movie.
I was thinking what that has to do with is the mere fact that she had just won the Academy Award in January. And I bet they went in and went, well, she's a huge name now. We're going to bump her up the chain, because...
We'll talk about that in a little bit. But
thinking that's what that was.
Her hair in the first scene where Nicolas Cage's character Memphis is trying to convince her to join his little crew to help steal the cars to save his brother's life, she has these like kind of faux dreads, and her hair is bleach blonde, which is pretty much what I remember from this movie. I know she had bleach blonde hair in Girl Interrupted.
Yeah.
But this one, she just had those twisty... I do remember that being a fashion trend, where it was like your hair's kind of wet and twisted, and it looks like you haven't brushed it in 20 years. But it was just distracting to me. But then later, when she's in more scenes, her hair's kind of brushed out, and it wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
But it was still like, I don't know.
Pretty cringy.
Like, who decided that was a thing? And then also, Nicolas Cage had bleach blonde hair, too. It wasn't as white as hers, but it was still...
It was like a light brown.
Yeah, it was still kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else?
No, I think that was all I noticed. Just at one point, like, the detective had a t-shirt tucked in, which I just thought was a weird look. I didn't think it was anything too egregious as far as, like, for a movie that's 20 years old. I didn't think their fashion choices were horrendous.
No, I agree. But the ones I did see were... It did take me back to that time. It did... I was like, yeah, leather jackets were very in. Like, it was right after The Matrix, so of course everybody was rocking the leather jacket.
Yeah.
The dated references and offensive jokes, the only one I noted was the fact that at one point, they're introducing the character Donnie, played by Chi McBride, and he's a driving instructor, and he's driving with an Asian woman.
Yes.
And they really played on the whole Asians can't drive. I wouldn't even have thought of it, but then he like mentioned a black stereotype where he's like, well, you don't see me swimming, I can't swim, and like, and you're like, okay, we get it now.
We get it.
But that was the only thing. I know there's probably another one that you probably noted.
I noted this, that it just kind of dates the film, is when Nicolas Cage arrives in town after being told, like, hey, your brother's in trouble, and he goes to see his mom. He comes out and he runs right into the two detectives, and they're like, what are you doing back in town? Like, he needs a reason to be in town. And he was like, well, I heard the Lakers got Shaquille. I was going to go to a game. And I was like, I looked it up. I'm like, Shaq retired 8 years ago. So that dates it. And also, I watched basketball my entire life. I think I've heard his name said in its entirety about 3 times.
Everybody
just calls him Shaq.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was funny. He was like, I heard we got Shaquille. And you're like, oh, yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
And he hadn't played on the Lakers since 2004. So it's been 15 years since Shaq was on the Lakers.
Damn.
So, yeah.
That's a good dated reference. Did you have anything else?
The other one was they were kind of doing like a little game on the CB radios. There's something that we should have talked about that was a little dated. And they're just going through like, what type of car did Kojak drive? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what did his license plate say? And for Magnum PI. And somebody says, it's Robin 1. And Giovanni Ribisi was like, Robin? Wasn't that faggy guy? Unnecessary.
And was he referencing like Batman and Robin?
I don't know.
I
think that's what he was.
I think they were just.
I think that's what he
that
was
in there for
referencing. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I had for this category. Should we move on?
I think we shall. We should move on to our next category that we like to call Well, hello there.
I just wanted to do it. I never get to do it.
You wanted to get in on the action.
Yeah.
It's our category where we talk about famous or recognizable actors that we may have forgotten that were in the film. And who did you notice?
There was a ton.
Yes.
And that's what I like to see, because I think that's one of the funnest things about watching older movies is seeing people that weren't famous at the time in bit parts, and then you're thinking, wow, they're bigger now, or they're more recognizable, or house name at least. The first one that I saw that I totally forgot was in the movie was Timothy Olyphant.
Timothy, take a shot for the Timothy Olyphant.
Timothy Olyphant, and he was the second detective, Detective Drycoff.
That's his last name?
I looked it up on IMDb because I wanted to make sure I said everything correctly.
Oh my lord, you weren't joking.
Detective Castlebeck and Drycoff.
Oh.
Are we missing some sort of joke here, or are they just... The names are as interesting as the writing of the dialogue in this movie.
Yeah.
He was in it, and he's a fave in this house.
Yes, he is. We love ourselves some Timothy Olyphant. I noticed Will Patton, who probably most recognizably would be from Remember the Titans.
Yes.
He was the other coach along with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
So that was
the other coach.
Well, if you're in a movie with Denzel Washington, you're always going to be credited as the other guy.
Yeah.
So he was in it.
Yeah. I saw Michael Pena.
That was a delightful treat at the end. I totally never knew
he was in it. He just had
like
a couple of lines, and he played basically a walking stereotype of a Mexican gangster, but he was so baby-faced. He was so young-looking. And then the other one I recognized was Kevin Weissman, who was in Alias and Runaways.
Yes.
So, and he's always been a funny person. Really underutilized. Had one line.
Oh yeah.
He just worked with the other one that I totally forgot was in this movie, Vinnie Jones.
Yes, playing Sphinx,
who doesn't talk until the very end. Spoiler alert.
There was an appearance by Tom Haverford's favorite actor, Scott Conn, as Tumbler. So he was in it. Master P.
Yes, I didn't know Master P was in this.
That is the definition of 2000s.
Yes.
Master P.
See, and this is the issue with when movies pick somebody out that is super popular at the time.
Yeah.
It really dates it. Unless you
could have got Jay-Z.
He's been in a couple movies.
Doesn't date it.
Oh, no, because he's still relevant.
Yeah.
Master P, not so much. If you're a big Master P fan, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We're not trying to rag on him, but...
You go say, by yourself, okay? You leave that
and,
over there.
Chris Eccleston, who is the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He is the 9th Doctor? No, the 10th Doctor?
No, he's the 9th because the 10th is David Tennant.
Okay, you're right.
He was the Doctor before.
He's the Doctor.
Which is funny because the first
after the reboot.
When your brother introduced me to Doctor Who, I was like, the bad guy from Gone in 60 Seconds is the Doctor?
And he's delightful.
Yeah. And then also I did notice Jamie Bergman, who was a model. I think she's most famous for probably being on Son of the Beach as Howard Stern. She just plays a passenger in a car. And then also she was married to David Boreanaz.
Okay. Well, that's quite a few people.
Yeah.
So I just got cut off. I was trying to make sure everything was recording okay. What are you looking at?
Because I had their Wikipedia up, and it does credit John Carroll Lynch, who played Drew Carey's brother, and he was played Zodiac in the Zodiac movie.
Okay, yeah.
And he was on Freak Show.
Yes, yeah. I know who you're talking about.
He is credited as the impound manager on Wikipedia, and I don't think he was the impound manager. It was the one that person who was watching film with us said looked like Louis C.K.
Yeah.
I don't think that was John Carroll.
I wonder if it's like a cut part, a deleted scene, maybe.
Maybe. They didn't push the deleted scenes enough for me to invest in and watch them.
They should have.
Yeah.
They should have. Should we move on to our next category?
Absolutely.
This category is called Is It Even Good? I realize
you really emphasize that it's a question.
Well, because on our sheet that we made, it does say that. Is it even good? And it even says it for well, hello. So it's well, hello there. I don't know why I typed that like that, but
I don't know.
This is the category where we talk about the plot and the casting choices, and we talk about our funniest and cringiest moments of the movie. What did you think about this plot?
I'm going to say...
Your silence is deafening. It's
not very believable that these guys would go steal 50 cars
and not get caught once.
No.
I don't know. I don't know what you're thinking. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I agree. It's definitely a movie.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what to say about the plot other than it's just an excuse to showcase a lot of cool cars.
Yeah.
And have some...
I did like that they tried to like go with, well, rather than us saying like, hey, we stole the 67 Shelby, like they put some thought into like, well, we'll give all the cars a girl's name. So it just sounds like, so people won't be none the wiser. So I thought it was good that they kind of tried to think out like, how could we make this more believable?
Yeah.
But there's so many aspects of this movie, which we're going to talk about in the cringy moments, where you're like, none of this is believable.
Yeah.
So I'm like, kudos to you for trying, Jerry Bruckheimer. I don't know why you put your name on this. Furthermore, I looked up who distributed this film.
Uh-huh.
Touchstone.
Oh, wow.
Which is also known as Disney.
Damn.
And the fact that Disney would allow a guy to say the word fag in their movie is surprising to me.
It was a different time.
They did make Song of the South.
That was also a very, very different time.
So, yeah, it's not believable, but...
Yeah, I agree. That's all I have to say about the plot, is that it's not believable, and if you disagree, let us know, but there's just no way. It's not... I know it's a movie.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's a movie, but it's just not believable that they can steal that many cars in that little of time.
Yeah.
With as many people as there was, and then they had cops on their tail the whole time. Mm-hmm. It just, it wasn't believable.
No.
The casting choices... Am I able to go on a little rant here? I'm asking permission.
Go ahead.
Angelina Jolie's character. You had mentioned that they upped her...
Yeah, I did look it up. This was literally her first film after winning the Academy Award.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because the fact that she's listed second, I was thinking, for a character who is just an excuse to have a hot girl who's into stealing cars, and nothing against her acting was fine.
No, she was good.
She was fine in it, but she had to work with very little.
Yeah.
And her character didn't add anything to the movie at all. And I felt like if anything, it was more of a distraction to the whole plot. The fact that there was this like little love story on the side, and their whole backstory did not make sense.
No.
At one point, they're in a car talking about why he left and how he'd asked her to come with him, and she's like, I wasn't ready to leave. But then when he sees her again, she's on the straight and narrow. She's working 2 jobs. Yeah. So I'm like, why
he left.
Yeah. I'm like, why didn't you look him up or find him and be together? It didn't make sense to me. It seemed like a stupid backstory. And the last scene where she's it's a happy ending. Spoiler alert. They got away with it pretty much. And they're all just sitting there enjoying
having
kind of
barbecue.
Retirement. Yeah. And the one kid gets shot during the whole, heist, basically. And she, licks his finger, licks barbecue sauce off his finger. And I'm like, it's literally, she's just a walking sex symbol. And she's supposed to be Nicolas Cage's girlfriend. I'm sorry. It's a little weird that you would let your girlfriend, or not even let your girlfriend, that you as a girlfriend would lick some other guy's finger in front of your boyfriend.
Yeah.
It's just that, okay, and rant over. That was my only issue. I mean, I had some other casting choice issues, but...
I honestly thought the casting choices, because given how famous some of these people are, I mean, Scott Caan is a huge Hollywood star. Total joke. But
He's
there
on
was,
Hawaii Five-0.
yeah.
Is that even a show anymore? I think it ended.
It might have ended.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of famous people, and I really didn't have any issues with
Right.
the casting choices. I mean, we make fun of Nick Cage on the show every week, but at this point of time, Nicolas Cage was a humongous name in Hollywood.
And he wasn't. I was going into this movie, I was expecting a lot of Nicolas Cage type behavior.
Yeah.
Only got a little bit, and he was
Little bit.
very neutral for most of the movie. I was very
Pleasantly
proud of
surprised.
him.
Yeah. You can see why this is a man that won an Academy Award at one point in time.
The only thing is, I was really disappointed that I did not get any Nicolas Cage screaming.
Yeah.
At one point, he's going over how many cars and an ambulance
I believe
on a
he
bridge.
jumped the length of a football field.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very plausible.
It was,
You
he
don't
was
know.
Evil Knievel.
And I was
Jumping a
really, he was very calm during it, which I know his character is supposed to be very good with driving.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah, he's a
but
good wheelman.
they really missed the opportunity to just have him scream. Because I know if I had to jump a car over that many things, well, I'd die.
Yeah.
Because the car would crash after like 5 feet. But if for some reason it didn't, I would just be screaming bloody murder.
Yes. Yes.
But, I digress. Did you have any other notes about the casting choices?
No, I think that was about it. I didn't think they were terrible. It was mid-level 2000 movie. I get it.
Yeah.
I get the casting choices.
The other note I just wanted to say was there was a lot of, and it kind of goes with when we get to their awards, so I won't divulge in too much, but I felt like there was a lot of unnecessary characters.
Oh, yeah.
Should we move on to our funniest line? What was yours?
I'm sure it was supposed to be a little funny, but there's a scene where Memphis, that is Nicolas Cage's character,
Yes.
and his brother Kip, which
His
is
real name's Randall.
Giovanni Ribisi, are
I think
running.
that's just Risby.
Risby?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Frisbee, we'll call it. He is running from superstar Johnny B, played by Master P.
Sure.
Just realized that it's Johnny B, Master P. Cool.
They didn't want to have to change
And he
his name
gave
too
some
much.
F-level acting. He's got jokes.
Not very good ones.
So they're running away, and they get away from Johnny B, and they just go into this diner because they see some cop cars there. So they're like, we're safe here.
Yeah.
And he looks at Johnny B through the window and is just like, as long as you're out there, we're going to be in here. Aight? And he says, aight. Like, oh my
Nicolas
God.
Cage.
I just instantly was like, oh, this is brutal.
Yeah.
So,
That was your funniest line?
yeah, it was awful.
That would have been my cringiest.
Oh, we got some more. Don't you worry.
Mine was at one point during the heist, Chi McBride's character Donnie is with we kept calling him the Keanu Reeves ripoff, which is one of there's like 4 or 5 younger car thieves that are part of Kip Giovanni Ribisi's, now I can't say it, way to go, crew. They're all like the younger generation, whereas Nicolas Cage is this, the older,
Yes.
more veteran car thieves. And they had just stolen a car, and they're pulling out, and some guy pulls a gun on them and tries to steal the car from the car that they just stole. And Chi McBride just like goes off on this tangent of he's like, this is lazy. Like, you can't just steal a car like this.
Yeah.
Anybody can just pull a gun in your face. And then he's like, boy, you need a role model. I just thought it was hilarious because
He's stealing a car.
yeah. What about your cringiest? I mean, if you could narrow it down to one.
So I'm going to make it the entire chase scene at the end of the movie.
What?
Because this movie has it all. And I'm going to try to sell it to you like, what is his character?
Stefan.
Stefan, thank you. It has it all. It has a generic chase scene. There's driving backwards. And crap, they're driving through garages and alleyways without a GPS. I can't find my house without a GPS, but Nicolas Cage knows his way through an alleyway. The car outruns a helicopter. That's right, a fucking helicopter. When a police use a helicopter, it's so it can fly above. But for some reason, this helicopter is flying down below. And it goes underneath the bridge and everything. Why does it do that? Then there's shipyard workers completely oblivious to the car chase that is occurring around them. Then there's a propane tank flying around. Not to mention, a Shelby Mustang that weighs about 3,000 pounds jumps a fucking ambulance. Yep.
That's the best
That
thing you've ever done.
was about 30 minutes of the movie. They use super generic everything. I didn't get it.
I didn't put down the helicopter. Because I'm like, the whole point of a fucking helicopter is that it has a height vantage.
Yes.
So it can see things that the officers can't on the ground. Why are you flying so close? That's not even safe.
I worked in law enforcement for a decade
Yeah.
prior to the current career that I'm in, and we would use helicopters for that exact thing, so we could survey an area.
Yeah.
We weren't calling out a helicopter to get down. It at one point is about 10 feet above Nicolas Cage's car.
It almost crashed into a cop car.
I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, all of a sudden, of course, typical early 2000s, they gotta hit the NOS. So Nick Cage hits the NOS, and the thing, all of a sudden the car is going 170.
Right.
And he's like, we lost it. I'm like, go up in the air. You won't lose it. Just go up.
You can see it.
Yeah, I can see for miles.
The only reason I think they did this was it looked cool.
Ugh.
I get it. At the time, that's all they care about. You know, it looks cool in the action sequence. But at the same time, the only reason I think a helicopter should be that low is if for some reason they have guns, which is really extreme. A police helicopter does not have like machine guns on it or anything.
No, it's not
But
a Black Hawk, folks.
Yeah, I kept expecting it to because I'm like, there's no other reasons why you should be that high in the ground or low on the ground.
But it was funny because right before the helicopter makes his appearance, and it should be credited as a character in this movie with the way we've talked about it, we were like, why the fuck don't they get a helicopter? Just get a helicopter. And then all of a sudden, they're racing through a canal that's a mile wide, and we're like, oh, well, there it is.
Yeah, never mind. Don't get a helicopter.
Nope, you're not going to use it
You're not
correctly.
using it right.
Yeah.
You're not using it right.
I think this is where Michael Bay got his inspiration for every chase scene.
Right,
Because, oh my God.
There is a point I was thinking of Michael Bay.
Well,
in the movie.
as you do. I mean, I think about him at least once a day. I go, what would Michael Bay
Was in the scene where Nicolas Cage had just found Sway, is Angelina Jolie's
That is correct.
character's name, and trying to convince her to join the team, and she says, no, I'm good. So he leaves the bar she's working at, and Sphinx, Vinnie Jones's character's there, and also Master P's
do? Johnny
team
B.
gang is there, and they're roughing Nicolas Cage up, but Sphinx comes up and blows up all of their cars.
Yes.
Very unnecessary. He probably could just kicked all their asses, but
Yeah.
it was, I guess it was a distraction. The first car blew up, and then all of a sudden all these other cars kept catching fire, and I was like, whoa, calm down.
Yeah.
This
And-
is a car chase movie.
And Johnny B
don't
did
need
some
massive
great
explosions.
acting that I noted, which was he reacted like he was about 1 foot away from this car when it blew up,
Yeah.
but he's about 200 feet away.
Right.
He's just like, oh my God, it's so bright.
And then during that chase scene, there was that stupid tank that was like
Oh,
hitting
the propane
everything.
tank. It was just going everywhere.
It was amazing.
But the highlight in what saves that chase scene, superstar actor Timothy Olyphant.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a person in this world that is a national treasure, it's Timothy Olyphant.
Yes.
A wrecking ball comes and just crashes into a cop car. Because why wouldn't it? You have a wrecking ball on a shipyard, right? On a pier. And it sends the cop car through a wall.
Yeah.
And he gets out and he's like, are you okay? And the guy's like, yeah. And he's like, are you sure? Because you just went through a wall.
They did not give that man enough lines.
He is so good.
So I haven't said my cringiest line
I know, I'm
you were
sorry.
just no, it's cool. I appreciate.
I got worked up.
Yeah, I appreciate the
I
Stefan,
went into
the inner
mode.
Stefan mode coming out. Mine was right before they started the heist. Nicolas Cage is at Otto's garage, Robert Duvall, and he pulls out a box. And it kind of reminds me of the Veronica Mars movie where she pulls out her box of like trinkets and she's just like, got to get back in the game. Maybe Veronica Mars noted Gone in 60 Seconds.
This seems like something Rob Thomas would have watched.
Yeah. He pulls out the box. He's looking at all of his trinkets. And then he pulls out a leather jacket and says, "I am a bad man." Why? Just why? No. The dialogue in this movie is horrible.
Oh, who should we? Let's credit that writer real quick for everyone.
Horrible.
Scott Rosenberg.
I don't think I've actually said that in our podcast before. Like, said a movie literally has one of the worst dialogues. Like, everything they said was cheesy. We kind of noted it while we were watching the movie that they say a lot of cliche things. It's just, there's times where it's funny, such as Timothy Oliphant's line was funny, but most of the stuff they say, it's like they take themselves way too seriously, and it's just horrible. I had some other notes. Did you have any?
I was just going to note about the person who wrote the terrible screenplay. He wrote such films as Kangaroo Jack. But ironically, fast forward to present day, he did write the Jumanji movie with Dwayne Johnson.
Which I actually liked.
Yeah, and he wrote Venom, and he just wrote the sequel to Jumanji. So he's still working, but it's just like some of them you're like, ooh boy, you wrote Kangaroo Jack. Might want to take that off the old resume there, bruh.
Like, damn IMDb, you can't delete this shit. One of the things I wanted to note was during the chase scene of where Master P's gang is trying to get revenge for Sphinx and Memphis blowing up their cars, which Memphis takes credit for that, which I think is funny because he's with his brother.
Yeah.
In a car, and they're like, "Why are they shooting at us?" Kip was like, asked him that, and he's like, "I blew up their cars." I was like, "Bitch, no, you didn't. Sphinx did it."
Motherfucking Vinnie Jones, bitch.
But he's like, maybe that's just semantics. I can't explain while we're trying to run away from machine
what
guns.
What had happened was I was standing on a pier. They were threatening to kill me. Then Sphinx came up and he Molotov cocktailed his car.
Okay, Stefan.
Okay, it'd be way too explanation-y for it.
No, and it's funny. The thing that I thought was funny was they were running through a garage and there's some mattresses, and Nicolas Cage pushes them down and just grunts like it was they're really heavy mattresses. He's like, "Ugh!" and then also they did nothing. The guys just climbed
right over it. And then earlier in that scene though, when they start chasing him, Johnny B and one of his henchmen are just sitting in a car while all this is going on, and a bunch of their goons are chasing him. And Master P's sitting there doing the best acting he's ever done, which is just staring straight ahead. And the guy next to him, while they're like shooting at Nicolas Cage, he just shakes his head with approval, like, good. I was just like, oh, that guy. I can see why he didn't get much work after this. It was just terrible.
That was pretty much it, other than the helicopter, and we talked about the scene. I felt like the car jumping over all the things really dated it, because I think I said this a couple episodes ago. I feel like over the years we've gotten better about trying to make things more realistic, unless it's a movie that's grounded in something like fantasy or sci-fi. But this is a movie that has none of that. It's supposed to be realistic, and there's no way any of this shit could have happened, let alone a man, sorry, I hit the mic because I was so excited, fly over that many cars. Yeah. It's insane.
No. And the music they were playing while it's happening, which that's just a whole... I mean, the soundtrack is so
amazing.
Generic and terrible. But the car is flying and the music that is being played, I would just only reserve for moments in film where Jesus Christ is being resurrected.
Oh, God.
Because it's just like... car flying.
I've said this before, but I think a lot of the instrumental music in a lot of the movies that we've seen for this podcast really dates the movie. And I know at the time when the songs are chosen, they're not thinking about that. But I think that's actually the number one thing I would say dates most movies is the instrumental music that they play underneath the scenes. Because some of them just sound so bad. Or it makes it cheesy.
Yeah. And this, for a movie that had such a high budget and everything, it was like, you guys couldn't pay somebody and make a better score for you?
But at the same time, I think that score was okay at the time. Our standards have changed.
I guess.
Yeah.
I
don't know. that's just my 2 cents on it. Shall we move on to our final thoughts? 'Cause
Yes,
we've
we
been
shall.
rambling on for a good 50 minutes.
I do apologize, folks. We're going to go ahead and hand out our first of 2 awards because, as you know, always award season.
Yes.
The first award, named in honor of the star of our film that we are watching this week, the valedictorian to the Nicolas Cage Online School of Bad Acting. Who did you give your award to?
I really wanted to give it to Nicolas Cage. Before we even watched the movie,
makes
I
sense.
wanted to...
Yeah.
I wanted to give Nicolas Cage the
The Cage.
award, the Cagey.
The Cagey, yeah.
We're naming it.
We got the
naming
Cagey
it.
and we got the Hanksy.
The Hinksy, yeah. Well, I mean, if he would have got the Hinksy too, that would have been amazing. But I had to give it to a side character, simply known as Mirror Man, played by somebody named TJ Cross. I didn't look him up.
He's been in 3 films.
Okay, makes sense.
And we should all... That's about 3 too many.
Everything about him was horrible. In the very beginning of the movie, it's him, Giovanni Ribisi, and the Keanu Reeves ripoff kid, and they are stealing a car, and Giovanni Ribisi just throws, old school, just throws a stone in the window, grabs the car, goes, and everything, this guy would not shut up. He's like,
No.
You're gonna Dukes of Hazzard it? First of all, you've been running with Kip for a long time. You know his style. Like, why does any of this surprise you?
Yeah.
And everything he just says, like, he's like, you guys need to get a life, or he's like, man, I will knock the shit out of you. He says that to Sphinx.
Yeah.
And also, this guy is like 5 feet.
Yeah.
And
Vinny Jones would have bounced him like a basketball.
Yeah, he's just like this over the top loudmouth, and
He's
I'm
a
like, how
stereotype.
are you? He's a little bit of a stereotype. I think they could have done worse as far as like him, because he's black. They could have done way worse. They could have made him say, shit that is super stereotyping.
Yeah.
But they didn't. He's just annoying.
He was super annoying.
And-
The only part I did like was when he's trying to distract the impound manager.
Yeah.
And he walks up dressed as a pimp and he just takes out a doll.
To me,
and
I
he's
just
just
felt
like, come on now.
I feel
She's
like
up
he
for
was
it.
a Dave Chappelle knockoff. He sounded a little bit like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, it was like we couldn't afford Chappelle.
Yeah.
And that's not to say Dave Chappelle was a huge actor at this time, but he was a name.
Yes, he
And
was.
they couldn't afford him. So it was like, we wrote this character with Dave Chappelle in mind. Let's go get a knockoff.
Yeah.
TJ Cross is available.
Whoever that is.
Uh,
They gave him entirely too much screen time.
yeah.
And that was my whole knock on a lot of Giovanni Ribisi's crew, was they got way too much screen time, and the veteran guys that actually knew how to act and were good did not. And Giovanni Ribisi and Scott Conn were the only two that I'm like, they didn't even give Scott Conn that much
No.
lines.
For a guy who had already been in Varsity Blues and been
Yeah.
in some movies where
And
he
he was
had
probably-
bigger parts.
I think the next film would have been Ocean's 11, right?
And that would have came out the next year,
Yeah,
so it
so-
might have been his next film, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, he just had too much screen time, and he was annoying, and I hated him. Unnecessary. So that was mine. What was yours?
I gave it to, and I had to look up his name. He is James Duvall, no relation to Robert. All I can do is call this man fake Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Because he literally, he looks like Keanu.
He did.
And he acts like Keanu from Bill and Ted.
A little bit, yeah.
The whole movie. Down to like, he's like, you guys think I can only order pizzas? Check it out. I'm going to steal a car that's not on the list.
He was more unnecessary than my pick. Definitely.
Yeah. It was like, we had to have, what wouldn't make sense if it's just Scott Conn and Giovanni Ribisi stealing cars. Take a shot. I can't say his name. We got to give him more people. So he has got like a 5-man crew of idiots. And
Yeah.
like you said, they give these people a lot of film time. Like, Mirror Man is probably gets more film time than fucking Angelina Jolie.
I would think
and
so.
you're like, why? They give that guy more film time than Robert Duvall.
Yes. Robert
What?
Duvall. I don't get it. I don't know if he was friends with somebody. I don't get it. And that's like, honestly, that's what makes the movie worse, is these couple of guys that did not act very good.
No.
And were horrible and took away from all the other people that could have had better lines.
Just brutal.
Should we move on to the Thomas J. Hanks Award for exceptional acting?
Yes.
Who is your pick?
I gave it to a man who film credits include The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, A Civil Action, The Judge, all films in which he was nominated for Academy Awards, and he won one for Tender Mercies. Robert Duvall.
Nice.
I don't think you could have given him more film. They could have gave him more film time. He was really good in every scene. I love the interaction he has with the detective when the detective shows up at like their chop house.
Oh yeah, when they had stolen when Keanu Reeves
steals the car that's not on the list, and he's just like, "Oh, you break it, you buy it, pal," and he just does this laugh where you're just like, "That's not genuine." And the minute he lifts his head up, he's just like, "I'm gonna fucking kill this guy."
Yeah.
So I just thought he was delightful, and as you would expect from Robert Duvall, he steals every scene he's in.
And he really gives the movie a little bit more
legitimacy.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, for sure.
Because it is a well-known cast, and I thought his interactions, especially like with Nick Cage, I think the scenes with Nick Cage that had Robert Duvall in them, those were Nick Cage's best scenes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I thought he brought that, whereas some of the other shit with Nick Cage is just like, oh, you're getting a little too cagey on me, buddy.
You get a little cagey.
So who did you give your award to?
I gave mine to Donnie, played by Chi McBride, because I felt like every scene he was in, he was hilarious.
Yes.
There was one point where he was going to steal this car in front of this hotel, and Nicolas Cage's character calls him, and he's like, hey, it's compromised.
Don't do it.
Back out. And he's just like, oh, she's having the baby now. He was just hilarious. And he's like, this isn't even my car. And everything he said was hilarious. I felt like, especially since my Nick Cage pick was so horrible, I felt like they should give him more lines, a bigger part compared to this other guy. And I feel like I know what they were doing. They were like putting a veteran with one of the newbies.
Yeah.
You know, Sphinx was with Mirror Man, and then Donnie was with the Keanu Reeves guy. Mm-hmm. And I get that, but they just, those two characters were super unnecessary, and I hated them every minute. And also Angelina Jolie's character was pretty unnecessary too, other than to just be, eye candy for the dudes.
I guess.
Can't have a really masculine movie without.
Gotta have a hot babe in it.
I mean, she's like the Megan Fox.
Ooh.
That's what that's what she reminds me of. Is like
she's
Megan Fox.
If Megan Fox could act.
No, I mean, I wasn't saying anything bad about Megan Fox, but how Megan Fox was treated in Transformers as just this like walking sex symbol.
She's like half dressed the whole film.
But I will say that they don't do this with Angelina Jolie. They don't dress her half dressed. She's dressed normal, whatever. But it's just things that she does.
Agreed.
She's just unnecessary, and it sucks because she's a good actress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
very good actress.
Should we move on to decide? Does this hold up?
We shall, and I'm just going to say it. There's no way in hell this movie holds up. It was fun to watch because it's so bad.
I honestly can say it's been one of my favorite ones to watch because it had parts that were so bad, including that whole chase scene. I totally agree with you. Yeah. And it's kind of fun to watch shitty movies.
It is. Exactly. It was fun. I could watch this again in 10 years and sit back and still laugh and enjoy it. I mean, at the very end, Randall shoves Raymond Calitri over a railing to save the detective. And the detective's like, I know you just stole 50 cars, but get out of here, man. I'm going to let you go. You destroyed half the city. But get out of here, man.
You saved my life.
You saved my life.
You couldn't be like, you saved my life, but maybe we could work out a deal. It would be more realistic. If this movie was made in 2019, he would have still arrested him. But he would have been like, maybe we can work out a deal.
Yeah, I'm going to notate on this police report when they charge you that, hey, I know he stole 50 cars, but he did save my life, and maybe we're going to leave it up to a judge.
Yeah, and his motives for stealing all these cars was to save his brother's life.
Yes.
Which is honorable.
Yes. Put that in your police report, sir.
But no, nobody got arrested. Everything was good.
Yeah.
The bad guy dies, who wasn't even that bad to begin with. I mean, he was bad, but it could have been worse. He wasn't a scary villain for me.
No.
He was just...
He just happened to have an accent. That's the scariest thing about him.
Which is nice. It's a nice accent.
Yeah, very good.
So, yeah, doesn't hold up. I agree. I don't know if I said that. But I agree with everything you said about it. And I definitely feel like it doesn't hold up, but for the different reasons than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just an action movie, and I think we've gotten past this point where we don't really like movies that are completely over the top unless they're supposed to be over the top.
Unless it's called Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone, which we love because it's got Terry Funk in it. Sorry.
Anyway.
Apologize.
So that's it for us today, guys.
That is it.
It's another not good movie.
2 in a row.
Right?
Not holding up.
Yeah.
After we
Spoiler
had,
alert if you haven't heard the last episode.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, no. Go back and listen to it and see if it holds up.
I mean, I don't know if you listen because you like to hear if we decided that, or if you just like to hear us banter.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments.
I mean, we love to banter.
Yeah, it's what we do.
Bantering
We
is
call
our
this marriage. So, we'll go ahead and remind you guys to please like, review, and possibly throw us a subscribe on iTunes.
iTunes,
Podcoin. Yeah, just
Spreaker.
Spreaker.
That's
Take a
it's
shot.
Spreaker.
That's not a thing.
We're on YouTube,
Yeah,
so
check us out there.
we're on things, man.
Thanks. Follow us on Instagram if you want to participate in one of our polls. We throw those up on Facebook. Keep them up for a few days. Let people pick between 2 movies. We tried to do 4 and they wouldn't allow us. So
Yeah, and keep the suggestions coming. We've had a couple already, and we love them.
So we're gonna throw those up on we did throw one of them up on this week's poll. So
Yeah.
I didn't win
I
this
don't
week,
know if
but
we're
I'm sure
going
we'll
to do
throw
a
it up
poll
again.
this week because we
No.
already kind of have a movie in mind. But
Yes.
the week after, we'll definitely do a poll again.
Yes, definitely. So hit us up. Instagram, we are at Ruining Our Childhood. At Facebook, we are at Ruining Our Childhood. And Twitter, we are at
ROC Movie Podcast.
That is correct. So we will see you guys next week.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.